Some critics have complained that Matt Fraction and Jorge Jimenez's Batman run has got off to a slow start, but I think it might more accurately be described as drips and drabs. Every couple of issues would feature explosive, dramatic action followed by a few issues of plot development. And to be fair, there is a lot going on. Vandal Savage has taken over the GCPD and started a war against the Bat family. He weaponized a standoff between the police and the Cape Crusader, where two opposing officers shot each other to frame Batman for their murder. However, a teen recorded Savage planting evidence on the crime scene and is now trying to take it to the press. At the same time, Gotham's organized crime families have been united under the Minotaur, who optimized their operations to make them more money than ever before. When the families began to squabble, he brought them together and murdered their loved ones to make clear that any deviation from the plan would not be tolerated. And then there's Dr. Annika Zeller, a researcher at Arkham Tower whose device, the Crown of Storms, can effectively cure insanity, as proven by its use on the Joker. This invention has earned her some enemies though. Hugo Strange hired the Yakuza to try to kill her, but fortunately Batman was there to stop them. This is because Bruce Wayne was funding her research, but when she overheard Robin call him father, she decided to stop all involvement with Wayne Enterprises. Don't worry though, she doesn't know that Bruce is Batman, she merely thinks he's an irresponsible billionaire handing over his son to a lunatic in a cape. And let's not forget the fallout of Operation Peregrine, where Savage unleashed the full power of his Tuco squad on the Bat family. In order to save the younger members of the team, Barbara Gordon intentionally allowed herself to get caught and was sent to Savage's Supermax prison. For more on that, check out my videos about the Barbara Gordon Breakout series linked to in the info button. And to be frank, there are more micro-plots going on. Tim Drake is taking a break from costumed heroics. Damien Wayne has been offered a place at university despite only being 14. Someone hired Anarchy to disrupt the Minotaur's operations. Hugo Strange was murdered by Savage's henchmen. The Joker is hyper-sane now, floating in a tank at Arkham Tower. And then there's Mayor Poison Ivy's plans, which will culminate in the upcoming Bad Seeds crossover. So, yeah, there's a lot to take in and keep straight in your head, and issue 11 spends much of its time moving several of the plot points forward. You'll doubtlessly recall how Wayne Enterprises had a snotty executive on the board, a man named Blake, who kept pushing for Bruce Wayne to approve military contracts to increase the company's profits. Well, it turns out that he's a member of a secretive group, the Shadow Board. Yes, another secret society in Gotham City, Kel Surprise. This group seems to be made up of different representatives from society. There's a man wearing a shima, what looks like a doctor, there's even a police officer, all sitting at the table trying to orchestrate events. They were the ones pulling Blake's strings, and they reveal that they were also the ones that hired the assassin the Ojo to kill Bruce Wayne. When the Ojo was introduced in issue 5, it seemed like she had been hired to kill Dr. Zeller, but that was never the case. She was after Bruce Wayne all along, and those motorcycle killers just got in her way. When she failed, the Shadow Board decided to make it an open contract, and they tell Blake to inform her of the bad news. While he offers her a fee to make up for the inconvenience, money isn't her primary concern. This is not how professionals conduct business, she states, as she cuts Blake in two. Later, when Batman listens in on the police at a crime scene, she pounces. And I have to wonder if she also heard Robin call Bruce Wayne father and came to the correct conclusion that Bruce Wayne was Batman. Regardless, there's a really dynamic fight scene between the two characters as they crash through a window into a nightclub. I particularly like Batman's innovative use of his cape to disarm the Ojo. As deadly as her sword is, her hands are equally lethal as she gets some good hits on Batman, but he brings the fight to an end by grabbing her by the throat and shocking her with his electro gloves. He tells her that Annika Zeller is protected, and she responds with a very funny, "Who?" Just then, the police arrive and Savage orders them to shoot Batman, despite the fact that the Ojo will likely kill them the moment Batman lets go of her. This further illustrates Savage's ruthlessness. He doesn't care about his men's lives, and I don't think he believes that they'll be able to stop Batman. It's all part of his game. Batman releases the Ojo and then dives out of the window to freedom, and note that the Ojo turned into ravens and flew away, while Batman threw a flashbang to buy himself some time. Checking in on the other plot points, the Penguin has gathered the heads of the 7 crime families to kick off a mutiny against the Minotaur. He talks about how the Minotaur's new way of doing business and how lucrative it has been, but he feels that they are old-fashioned men at heart and wonders how it might feel to humble the Minotaur with a little old-school thinking. Before continuing the story, I just wanted to take a moment to thank my channel members, the Back Issue Brigade, who helped to make these videos possible. As well as getting their names in my videos, they also get to vote on exclusive members-only videos. If you would like to see them, have a say on what I make next, and get your name featured in my upcoming videos, join the channel now. So it's time to check in again with Dr. Zeller, who sits in her office at night, doom-scrolling through social media. It's an endless parade of negativity and bad news. The Tuco squad smashing up a bodega, the buses overrun with rats, unlicensed dojos flooding the streets with wannabe ninjas, illegal dogfighting funded by cryptocurrency. There's also a note about an underground morgue that was discovered in Little Tokyo, the same crime scene that Batman had been monitoring. And I wonder how many of these stories will lead to something else in the future. But getting back to Dr. Zeller, I had previously wondered why she pulled out of her deal with Wayne Enterprises, considering he had fully funded her, and it turns out it all comes back to Damien. For as gifted as she is, she cannot see what is right in front of her face, that Bruce Wayne is Batman. Instead, she thinks he's an irresponsible father, putting his son in harm's way by allowing him to be a costume vigilante. And saying that out loud, maybe she is right. Anyway, Batman visits her and tries to clear things up. He gives her a very streamlined and abridged breakdown of Damien's unconventional upbringing. He's the son of Talia al Ghul, here described as an aristocrat, whose existence was kept secret until he was 10 years old and was then dumped on his father. Bruce is trying to do the best he can for his son, and he believes that Batman is key to what is best for him. So, yeah, he's withholding some key facts, but at its core, this is the truth. As he leaves, he tells her that he doesn't seek her approval or for her to care, but he needs her to know that it was his choice. Damien needed him much in the same way that Dr. Zeller is needed there. Following this, we're given updates on some of the other supporting characters, like Harvey, Bullock and Jim Gordon. At the funeral for one of the officers caught in the crossfire of issue 2, the grieving widow tells them that she knows Batman wasn't involved in her husband's death. She's certain it was Savage. Her husband didn't even get a traditional policeman's funeral, presumably because he refused to incriminate Batman. This clearly doesn't sit right with either men, as the former commissioner struggles with what to do. Savage has his daughter. Bullock, meanwhile, is visited by Jack Dean, the journalist, and Houston, the boy with the footage of Savage planting evidence. They believe that Savage knows what they have, and he's been trying to kill them. So all in all, this issue progresses some of the major plot points. We know who is trying to kill Bruce Wayne and why. There's also the prospect of a plethora of new colourful assassins coming to town to take him out, and it'll be interesting to see the Ojo's response to their presence. At the same time, Savage's crusade against Batman proceeds, as does the case against him. It's starting to look like Bullock and Gordon, the former establishment, will be involved in bringing Savage down. Similarly, the old-school gangsters may claw their way back to the top, taking down the Minotaur, in a true case of cutting off their own noses to spite their face. This is pretty fitting, as I'm sure any long-time comic book reader knows, no matter how much things change, eventually the status quo will be restored. And that leads me quite nicely into the final pages of the issue. While Batman recounts the night's events to Damien, their conversation is interrupted by a ring on the doorbell. Now, for the average person, that wouldn't be anything to be concerned about, but Batman had installed cameras and security measures that should prevent anyone approaching their front door without their knowledge. Whoever this is must be highly skilled, and all Batman can do is answer the door. Standing there is a new character, Verity Pennyworth, the grandniece of the late Alfred Pennyworth. She has been sent by the Society of the Midnight Key, great, another secret society, and she's there to fulfill Alfred's wishes as their major domo, or head of staff, serving the Wayne family. And now seems like the best time for someone very capable to be brought in to help protect the Waynes. A plethora of assassins are bound to be on their doorstep before too long. Savage may get tired of his little game and just send the Tuco squad after Bruce Wayne, and of course there's the upcoming Bad Seeds crossover starting in a few months. And speaking of that crossover, I am a little anxious about it. This comic already has a lot going on. Does it really need to be dragged into a line-wide crossover, even if just for 2 issues? The never-ending, pointless crossovers are why I stopped reading most Marvel comics, and I really don't want DC to stray down that path. Either way, Batman 11 was a pretty good read and made some decent progress with the overarching story. Thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and stick around because next week I'll be back with several new videos. We're going to be talking about Absolute Batman number 22, Absolute Catwoman 2, Barbara Gordon Breakout 3, and Clayface Celebrity Dirt number 1. Hope to see you then.